Can a movie be so short it doesn't have time to be bad? That's what we're going to find out as we talk about this forgotten Japanese horror film. Welcome to Creepin' It Real. Thanks for joining us. I'm Judah, and back here we have my brother visiting from Oregon. He's going to be a guest this week and actually probably a couple other episodes. How's it going, Ruben?
Hey, it's going fantastic. I was just reeling in the majesty of this forgotten Japanese film, and the mind is set to wonder at the glory of it.
We are talking about 1987 Cyclops. Now, this movie clocks in at just 52 minutes, which is only a little bit longer than your favorite K-drama. So I would say give this a go, maybe. My brother and I just got back from a camping trip, feeling really tired, but I knew that we had to come in here today and bust out this review. We decided to find a short horror movie. At one point, like I said, we were pretty tired. I wasn't hearing anything from him because I was being pretty funny as we were watching this movie, and he stopped commenting on my hilarious comments. So I paused the movie to see if he's asleep. He says he wasn't. I still think there's some questions there. But at the time, it said that there was only 18 minutes left of this movie. I have no idea how they are going to wrap this up in just 18 minutes. He agreed, but I think he was just playing along to make it seem like he wasn't sleeping. The reason I say this is because this movie really didn't give us much. I mean, it kind of gave us this setup, but not much. There's no character development. It was just like this scroll of text that kind of set up this whole theory that babies were being born deformed because we were not being good stewards of the earth.
Absolutely. Yeah. The saturation of toxins from industry seemed it took its toll on human genetics. The mutations began to not be seen as necessarily an ill.
Well, let me jump in there.
Okay.
It said that most doctors let these babies just die, but there were two doctors that did attempt to save them because they saw them as the next step in the human evolution. They came up with some way of hiding these mutations by using good cells, but they could revert back to their previous state through some kind of trauma, emotional trauma, or some kind of like head injury would make them revert back to their original form. Me talking about whether or not they would be able to pull this off in the last 18 minutes, they did not. But what they did do was try to distract us with some of the greatest practical effect body horror and elevator explosions you have ever seen put to screen. They're like, let's just hope that first 30 minutes that they just watched, they completely forget in this last 18 minutes.
Absolutely. Having just rewatched the last 18 minutes, so make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Exactly.
That is, they came out full. They pulled out the stops on the practical effects and the bewildering sabotage of the elevator, which I feel in lies the true horror. Is I don't think I'll look at elevators ever the same now.
Exactly. Did anybody look at when the last time that elevator had its inspection? This movie has some comical aspects at the beginning. It's played off for laughs, but it's a very scary and tragic event. These doctors are trying to find these babies that they earlier saved and released into the wild or whatever because they're doing experiments on them because their latest experiment apparently died. So they're on the search for their next person to bring back in and continue these experiments. And they think they've zeroed in on this young woman or a teen that was a survivor. They kidnapped the wrong girl. And they have her stripped naked on this examining table. The older doctor is being very professional. He's like, I've seen boobs before. There's nothing special here. But his assistant apparently has never seen a woman before. It was funny, but the end result is very that's tragic. So they set up the camera, POV vagina cam, with her legs spread apart. Okay, so through the eyes of the vagina towards her feet. And every time this assistant walks by, he steals a peek. First, it's just like him glancing. But then when he walks by, every time it's a little bit longer. And then it's almost like rubbernecking as he's walking by. And it honestly is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
especially because of the camera angle. That's what really gives it the humor. She does end up being murdered. This girl who has been murdered, which again, this examination scene I feel takes way too long for a movie that only has 52 minutes in it. Yep. This examining scene I feel takes quite a bit of time from this movie, which leads to another scene that is absurdly long. So her friend that really was the target and escaped by there being a mistake in identity, she is now heartbroken that her best friend has been murdered. The way she deals with this is she runs into her room crying, throws herself on the bed, and is just rolling around crying for minutes. Then she starts grabbing her blankets and sheets, and as she's rolling around, she turns herself into what I like to call the burrito of sorrow. Then she just falls off her bed in this burrito of sorrow and continues to cry, which then leads to one of the most confusing moments of the movie. Suddenly, 4 arms and 4 feet and legs. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
So the burrito of sorrow suddenly turned into the burrito of we don't know what the hell is going on here. This scene felt like it went on forever. For a movie that only has 52 minutes, why are we spending so much time with the burrito of sorrow?
Yeah, if that was the filler, I mean, not to say that it didn't have its own certain flavor, and it left the mind wandering as well too, and it did gave it a sense of mystery, I suppose. This is the first time I think that we see that's the mutation actually coming out too, the twin mutation.
Yes. So, this was the verification that she was in fact infected by, well, not infected, but she was part of that mutation, and she was experiencing this emotional trauma, which is what triggers the reversion back to the mutation. The subtitles are probably one of the greatest mistakes of this movie. We watched this on Tubi, and this one girl asked, how's your sister-in-law's pregnancy going? So that was the first clue that we were in for a nice treat. Then followed directly up with, well, she's in her 15th month. And I'm like, what the hell is she giving birth to?
True.
15 months? So keep an eye out for some of those spectacular subtitle flubs that make this movie maybe more worth watching than the practical effects. Well, I mentioned that, did they pull it off, this ending within 18 minutes? They didn't. But it brings us to these practical effects. One guy, suddenly another person explodes out of him. His Siamese twin, supposedly, who has been laying dormant inside of him, just burst forth, wielding knives.
Yes,
no
with
less.
a knife. Yes, with a scalpel.
Yeah.
That is true.
I mean, he's been crouched in there for who knows how long, just waiting with the scalpel, waiting for the right moment to just emerge and release hell on whoever is in front of him. Now, this scene was quite enjoyable, and it did make up for that other 30 minutes that was pretty forgettable. And then we have this birth of this 15-month-old baby, which is a slug.
Yeah. Yep.
A slug that turns into Turbo. The slug baby has freaking jetpacks on it, whips through this hospital, and I'm just going to leave the rest to you because it's just like, what the hell? And this is where the movie ends.
Yep. Yep.
With this very questionable ending. Not only that, then we get the last questionable, subtitle at the bottom that's like, we're going to have to find a name for you.
Yes, that was that was what we were left with, which could mean that it kind of left it open for a sequel, actually. I think are we on Should we be keeping our eyes out for Cyclops 2 on the horizon?
I don't think we're ever going to see that. Though, if it was an American movie, we might, because they're like, oh, I guess we got to go way back because we got no original ideas anymore. So I give this like a 4 out of 10. Where are you landed on this?
Yeah, I don't want my opinion of it to be influenced by yours. I think, let's say, I'd give it a 3 out of 8.
3 out of 8. You can't. No, you have to use the. Essentially, you gave it the same score by lowering the. Gosh, 3 out of 8. I give it a blue out of 100.
Well, so considering that it didn't keep me awake for the first run, so I do have to deduct points from that. I give it a 4.5 because there's
Wait, okay, a 4.5 out of 10?
Out of 10. I'll give it to you out of 10. Yeah. So just not so we don't pick the same numbers there.
It's all. Look, it can be the same as long as you're being genuine.
The music really did it for me.
You liked it?
I loved the freaking music.
I was joking about the music. I thought the music was just silly.
Yeah, it was. But and also it was 87. That's the year I was born. So I've got to give it some points for it was born in the great year.
Is it showing its age?
Does it wearing its age well? It's because there's not a lot of commitment. I'd say it's worth giving it a shot.
Okay. Yeah. That's about the only thing. Now, again, sorry for cutting you off. My opening, question is, can a movie be so short that it's not bad? No. This movie has very little to offer, even though it was like, let's try to compress this. We know we don't have a whole lot to say, so let's make it shorter, cut out all the fluff. For as short as it was, it still had a whole lot of fluff.
Yes.
If you made it this far, you're a champion. You get a gold star. Please like, subscribe, and share. And just so you know, I am on Instagram and X. You can check our bios for the links there. If you have any other weird Japanese horror movies that you think we should check out, leave those in the comments. I definitely will get to those. Thanks for watching. I'm Judah, and this is Ruben back here, and we'll talk to you later.
Peace.